But in this video, I'm just going to be showing you guys how to install Python from scratch. Okay, so yeah, we're going to be installing Python from scratch. If you don't have Python on your computer and you want to start up with Python, what should you do? Here you have a blank computer, no Python installed, and we want to get Python installed on this computer. All right, I have already downloaded Python. Here is my copy. Here is it, Python 3.8.10. So I'm not going to download it here, but so just to help the video to be faster, and I'm also going to show in later videos how to install Anaconda and Lee clips, so you guys are going to learn all that. Yeah, I just downloaded it already, so that it's not going to take long. For example, this is 477 megabytes and all that. So let's go straight into the video. So initially what you need to do is simply to go online to the Python website. Very simple. So I'm going to connect to my wireless. So I'm going to pop up a browser. Okay, I'm going to pop up a browser. Yeah, so I'm already on the Python website. If you want to get to the Python website, it's www.python.org, or you can just go to Google and type Python download. Okay, so here is it, Python download, and you see www.python.org. You can click there, and here is the Python website. Here there are a lot of things. You can use the Python online interpreter. I'll show you guys that later on. You know, Python has an online interpreter you can use for coding, but for now we are going to be just downloading Python. So you scroll right to the bottom and you see different versions of Python. Where is it? Are we on download? Okay, downloads. Go to downloads. Okay, yeah, now I think it's okay. You are going to choose Python 3.9, Python 3.8.10. I think this is one of the this is a stable version, Python 3.8.10, and that's what I'm going to, this is the version I'm going to be using in the tutorial. But you can use any version, even 3.6. You know, there isn't much changes, so I'm just going to click download, and you know, I'll scroll to the bottom, and here are the different types and packages involved. You have for Mac OS and you know, whatever platform you're using, but we are using Windows, so you can either download the 32-bit version if your computer is a 32-bit version computer, or 64-bit. Yeah, so this 32 or 64-bit just deals with the addressing mode of the computer. You know, how much data is stored in the address, I mean in the RAM, that's the address space of a computer at a given time. Some complicated stuff, but you don't need to worry about that. But how will you know if your computer is 32-bit or 64-bit? You just go to like my computer. It's easy here. You go to this PC and you can just click properties. All right, so you see here system type. I have a 64-bit. If you have 32-bit, you download the 32-bit version. If you have 64-bit like mine, I'm going to go in for the 64-bit version. All right, so what's the next step? You just click here and that's all. You see, you save file and whatsoever, you get the download. I've already downloaded the file, so I don't need to download it again just to save time. So I'll cancel this and I'll go to my downloaded file and I'll install it. Now, how will you know you don't have Python? You have to go to the command line cmd and type command, type Python. Look what happens. Oh, Windows stores pop up. Now Python is not installed on our machine, but our environmental variables have been set in such a way, you know, if you're using an older version of Windows, you may not have this problem, or you may not have this. Maybe it's just going to show you invalid command, like something like this. Here is what you're going to get, like this thing is not recognized as an internal. It just shows it's not installed on your computer. But if you're using a higher version of Windows 10, like the 2019 version or something or above, you're going to see Windows Store pop up trying to find the app. Why? Because our environmental variable has been set to like it checks the Windows App Store as the first place for an application it doesn't find, applications found in the Windows App Store. So because Python is in Windows App Store but not installed on our machine, the Windows Microsoft Store appears. Sorry, Microsoft Store. So Microsoft Store appears for us to download, but we don't want this. I will not advise you to download it from here because there's a lot of worries about it. I want you to download it normally. So we're gonna cancel this and let's install the version we have. So we go pop up the installation. I'm going to show you guys how to install this libcrypt and anaconda in later videos, but for now we are just focused on Python. So go to install now. Yes, administration privilege, and let's follow the installation. At this point, I think I'm gonna disconnect from my Wi-Fi. I don't need it. Why? No. So all right, so it installs pip automatically. Pip is very important. We use the pip package or bootstrap to install other packages in Python like matplotlib and other packages, libraries. Pip automatically installs them for us. Later on, I may teach you guys how to use pip to install other Python libraries. So that's for a later video. So we are done. Setup was successful. So what next? Okay. So now we have Python installed on our computer. How do we verify that? The normal way to verify that is to like go here and try close it, okay, because it actually has some saved states. You need to close it and open it again. Like okay, Python. Oh, we still have the same problem. Microsoft Store is attempting to download it. What does that mean? It means Python, that's the path to Python is not on our in a part of our environmental variable. So you always hear something like add Python to environmental variable. So how do you do this? So to add Python to our environment, that's the Python path to our environmental variables, or the location of Python to our environmental variables. Forgive me, all these terminologies. I may not really very well. You close this. Now to go to your environmental variables, you right click on my PC and go to properties, advanced system settings, and environmental variables. Now you have system variables and user variables for Microsoft, for Mr. Microsoft. This is my username, Mr. Microsoft. So um, this particular user is just for the tutorials, while the system, if you use the system part, you apply to all users on this system. So this current system has 2 users. This one I use just for tutorials, and my real user which I use for other stuff. So I don't want the Python to be on the whole computer because the other user has Python already installed. So I just want it for this user. So I'm going to choose paths. Here is where you set the paths for all these commands on the command line program. So you go to path, double click it, or you click edit. Now here's what I want to show you. See Windows app. This is where Windows app is was already set as the first location for applications or packages to be checked for. That's why each time we type Python, Windows app popped up. Now we don't want this. No, we aren't going to cancel Windows app, but what we're going to do is to add our location to Python. Now, how do we find where Python is installed? Now, to find it, you just go to your search and type Python. Ideally, Python appears. I'll show you how to use this, or you can use this, any of them. Let's use this. Just go to open file location. Want to see where this is? Now these are shortcuts. You see the arrows. Okay, now I want to know where they are actually, so I'm going to click open file location again. Here is the important Python file. It's called python.exe. This is the Python interpreter. When you hear about Python interpreter, this is the interpreter. Most applications, like if you're using Visual Studio Code, they always ask what is the path to the Python interpreter. This is the file they're looking for. It's called python.exe. This is the file they're looking for. Now, what do? You go up here, click here, and copy the path. So Control A, select all, Control C, copy. Now, or you can, if you don't, you can use copy normally, but I use Control C. So what do you do with this? We can close this now. You paste, you go to new and you paste it, Control V, or you right click and paste anyone. All right, so now we're done. But what do we want? We want it to be above Windows stores, or else the is still going to look in Windows stores for Python each time we type the Python command. So what we're going to do is to move it up. So click and move up. All right, good. Now okay, okay, and okay. Now we're going to close this. I'm going to type cmd, maybe run as administrator. You can open or just run as administrator. Okay. Now type Python. All right. Our Python is installed and ready to be used. So I can close this. And here is the Python, what we call the Python shell or the Python interactive prompts. Yeah, once you see these three, and if you want to exit this, just type exit like this. Okay, you're back to the normal command and prompt. Each time you want to exit, use the exit. And no, this exit is a Python function to exit a program. So let's get back into Python. Now this is a normal Python interactive prompt. You can write a simple program, var1 equals to 10, var2 equals to 3, enter, var power equals to var 1 raised to the power, star in Python is raised to the power var 2. Okay, print var print power. Of course, we all knew it would be 1000 because 10 raised to the power 3 is 1000. So here we just typed. The interactive prompt is very important. You can use it to type to try out things. For example, you may want to say you can have a list called list1, for example, and let's say we have 1, 3, 5, and 6, 7, and you just want to test some Python function. Okay, you can say sum list1 22. So we have tested the sum function. We can say min list1. Wow, so the minimum is okay, max list1. Then you can say len list1. Oh, the len is 5. So we're going to learn all this later on. I'm just showing you how the interactive prompt is very important. You can use it to quickly test stuff out. Maybe there's a function called sort. Just say, oh, let me see, can I sort a list? Oh, there's no function called sort. What of okay, they said list is not, they say name sort is, oh, so there's no function called sort. What of list dot sort or list1 dot sort? Let me check. Oh, then print list1. Oh, this one have been sorted. All right, so it was already sorted initially, but so you saw we will now try is sort a predefined function, or is it a built-in function? We discovered sort is not a built-in function. We need to call sort as a method on list. Well, we are going to learn all these things. So this just like I'm just showing you how the interactive prompt can be useful to quickly check out things, because you can be writing a big project with thousands of lines. You can't check out stuff there, but you can you can quickly come to the interactive prompt, try out things, check things, and go back to your coding. That's the use of the interactive prompt, is to quickly check out things. You can even import a module like OS. Let's say os.get current working directory. I don't know if this is a function. All right, yeah, so this is the current working directory. So you can use it to do several stuff, So that's the use of the interactive prompt. All right, so we're done with the interactive prompt. Like, so which other way can we use Python? We have ideally Python. This is the most basic Python editor. Comes with the basic installation of Python. What to do, just type ideally. Now I want to create a shortcut on the desktop, so we don't need to always type ideally. So I'm going to open file location, and since there's already a shortcut here, I'm going to take this shortcut. Oh, dragging and dropping is not very good, as you've seen, because it has removed the shortcut from this very important location, and we don't want that. So it's good for us to like copy it and paste it better. So now we have a shortcut, we don't need this again. So let's look at, so ideally is like a Python editor. It comes with Python. It also has an interpreter. I'm going to show you. So this is ideally Python. This is the basic interpreter for Python. If you don't want to use the command line, maybe it looks a little primitive or you don't really enjoy using it, you can go in for this ideally Python. So what do? We can do the same stuff we did in the previous on the command line. This is not a real command line because, for example, you can go up, you can go down, you can copy stuff, and certain things don't really work here as they work in the command line. So no, it's not the same, but we can do the same stuff. Num1 equals 30, num2 equals um 100, 100, um product equals num num1 times num2. Yes, then we say print product is product. Oh, let's see if this is correct. I don't want any funny error. All right, product is 3,000. We all know 30 times 100 is 3,000. So it's still a form of interactive prompt. You can still get a list 1 equals to um, um, equals to 2, 3, 30, 40, 6, or 5, and 8, and the rest. And we can do all these. This one, you can say sum list 1. You understand? You can say mean list 1. You can say max list 1, and all those. We can do everything you want to do. You can even index list 1, like list 1 3, 3, 1, 3, and give you 5. Now notice what happens in the interactive prompt is, if you don't assign the output to a variable, it's printed out. Do you understand? For example, max list 1. See what happens. It gave us 40. If we said max my max, these are variable names. We're going to explain all that later on. Equals to um, um, max list 1. It's not printed out because we assigned it to a variable. That's how the interactive prompt works. Now we can now print it out. Print my max. Right. So that's how the interactive prompt works. Now, it, if you don't assign, if a particular expression has an output and you don't assign that output to a variable, the interactive prompt prints it out. So you see it. Okay. So you're going to visit the interactive prompt. You can write a lot of programs on the interactive prompt, like OS, import OS, just the same like the other one, like yes, os dot get current working directory, and so yes, you can say d. You see, now notice when we're using the command line, the current working directory was different from now. You see, this interpreter executes from that our Python part 3.8. I just wanted to see the difference. This is very important. You can even change the current working directory, but We're going to learn all that later. So let's leave this. Now, what can you do with this? We can also open a Python, um, a new file for a Python script using ideally. Yeah, so basically you're going to be writing here. Initially, I want to show you something. Initially, when you start yours, it's because I've run Python here before. If you start yours, you're going to realize there is no line number. Okay, I just added this recently. Yes, so okay. I want you to really see something. File, new file. Usually, there's always no line number. Add line number, you can go to options. I mean, edit, is it Windows? Options, show line numbers. Okay, yes, you can do this, or you can set it by default each time you open a new file. For example, there's no line number here. I have to do it manually. Show line numbers. If you want line numbers to appear by default, you can go to options, configure ideally, and go to general, and then go to show line numbers in new windows, and then you can apply or you just press OK. So now we have line numbers every time we open a new window like this. There's a line number. So now here is a simple editor for Python. Okay, you can use any editor you're comfortable with, like Atom. You have Visual Studio. Even though Visual Studio is not a real editor, you can use Atom, Notepad plus plus. There's one editor, Komodo. There are many editors people are familiar with. I just usually forget it. There's Komodo, there's Sublime Text, all these kind of editors. You can use anyone to edit. But this is the basic editor that comes with Python. It's called IDLE editor, IDLE editor. So here we write a script. This is not a command line. So here you write a full script, you save it, and you call the Python interpreter to execute it. Do you understand? So let's write our first Python script. It usually print usually is hello world, hello world. Okay, so easy. Just click run and run module. Okay, they said it must be saved. All right, now we need to save it. Okay, so let's save it first. We can save it while running, or we just save first. So save. Now I want to show you something. Using to save a Python script, normally I want to save it on my desktop. I think I created a folder called Python projects on my desktop. Where is it? I'll cancel this. I'm going to show you guys now. So Python project, here is where I'm going to save the file. So I'm in my this, and where is the file? I think it's here. Okay, so let's save this. All right, so I'm going straight to my desktop, look for Python projects, and I'm just going to label this as test1. Test1. See. Now, don't forget, you need to add an extension, and the default extension for Python is .py. It's very important because most programs and stuff recognize Python files by this extension .py. If you miss out this extension, you're going to face a lot of problem with Python files. Its interpreter will not recognize it, and many other stuff. Even editors, because editors add colors to programs depending on the kind of programming language. You understand? So, like I'm going to show you an example. When we add this .py, for example, see, there's one .py. Now we can run it. Okay, here is the output. It's using our old interactive prompt. So if you don't want that, you can actually cancel this and do a fresh one. So you have a new output. You see. So here is the output. Now the extension is very important. Let me show you why. For example, I have Notepad++ installed on my computer. Let me try to edit this with Notepad++ and show you. Now look, there's coloring. Without that extension, Notepad++ wouldn't have been able to apply coloring to it. You understand? So, um, but now Notepad applies a coloring because we have actually um, we have actually added an extension. Look, even here you have Python file, and if you go to language, you see P, you see Notepad already selected Python because of the extension .py. So extensions are very important. It helps interpreters, editors, and all those know about the file. So you must end it with a .py, right? So this is no longer important. So now, that was our first Python program we ran. Now that's a very easy Python program. Let's make something a little bit more complicated, like welcome, hello. In the next line, print. Um, we now want to write a program that will ask the users for two numbers. The first one is a number. The second one is the power. It's going to raise the number to the power and print out the result. So let's get print. Let's say we're going to use a prompt. Um, var1. This is our power variable. Let's just call it var1. And I'm going to say we want it to be an integer. So we're going to say, so we're going to convert. I'm going to explain all this stuff to you later on. Print input enter 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 number. Okay, var2 equals to, we want it to be an integer. Input enter power. Okay, so and now we have print enter power. I think just go, so say print var1 then raise to power var2. I'm going to show you a simpler way to construct printed statements with many variables. We're going to use the format operation, but for now let's just use this method. For now equals what equals, or let's just say equals now we're going to we can just say var1 is this var2, and we are done. You understand? Okay, we don't need to, we can do like this and everything is going to be fine. But let's create a variable called result equals to var1 var2. So we are going to learn all this. This is just an example. I'm going to teach you guys all this stuff, operations and all this. So don't worry if you're not understanding it. So it's just an example. Equals to var1 raised to the power var2. So yeah, instead of writing this, we can just write result. I'm going to explain to you guys the meaning of all these variables. What are variables? What are variables? Yeah, I'm going to explain to you what variables are. So is the code correct? Yes. Integer input, print var1 but I don't want errors, so I'm just trying to check out things. Yeah. So maybe we have an empty line before this. All right, so I think we look good. Let's try to save by using Control S and then run. Let's see. All right, enter number. I want to say 3 raised to the power 10. Enter power. Wow, 3 raised to the power 10. Power 10 equals to, wow, because I think there might have been a mistake in the code. I don't know. Oh yes, so I think that is 3 raised to the power 10. We can verify that by pulling up our calculator and typing 3 to the think we need a scientific calculator here. 3 raised to the power 3 raised to the power 10. All right, 59,049. Okay, so I think our Python script is correct. So let's try run it again. Run module. So 3 raised to the power 10. All right, so it's correct. So here is our first script we wrote in Python. Very simple. I've taught you guys how to now use the Python command line like the interpreter, and I've taught you guys how to use the basic Python editor, ideally Python, and how to execute it. But what happens most times, you don't really have, if you don't have maybe something like this to edit, to run Python like with a run button, how do you execute Python? Maybe you don't have an editor that's capable of running Python directly. You just have a Python file and you have Python installed on your machine and you want to run it. What do you do? What do you do? I'm going to show you now what to do. But what you need to do is you need to, it's always good. In fact, let me show you the process. So let's save this now. Here is our Python file. Here's our Python project. This is the file. We want to execute this file. How do we execute it? Let's assume we just have Python installed. Okay, what we do is we open a command line here by right clicking. Press shift and right click. Look at press shift and right click. You're going to see open PowerShell windows here. You understand? If you don't want to open it here, you can still use the command prompt and go to and locate that place, but it's not easy. It's not easy. You need to use command like cd cd, maybe c something, ls or list directories. You see is there desktop here? Let me check. I don't want to go through all this long process. It's quite long. If you don't know it, you're really going to, okay, cd l, you have to now go to cd, I think, users, ls, okay, I'm now more comfortable with the Linux command line, so I always make that mistake. Now we want to enter Mr. Microsoft, so say cd change directive Mr. Microsoft. Now sorry, you can go to desktop, change directory desktop. Now D. Now we want to go to Python project. So you see Python, you now go to change directory Python. No, you put it in quotes because they are separated, right? Python project. Oh, the system Python, is it project? Python project. Okay, it's project. Okay, now if you type D, we're going to see our Python file. Here is it, test1.py. Here is it, test1.py. So it's a long process if you want to follow it directly. You understand? That's why I don't want to do it directly. So all right, so it's a long process. So when you're at this point, you understand, you can now do what I want to show you, but I don't want to show you this. I don't want to, let's use the shortest means to get to this point. So let's not close this, like let's just minimize it. Now what you do, press shift right click and open PowerShell windows here. Now PowerShell is better, you understand, because you can use the Linux commands on PowerShell. For example, what I was trying to do, ls is print out the stuff. Windows is D command, but Linux is ls. So you see both Linux commands and Windows commands work with the PowerShell, you understand. So because the Linux interpreter is very good, so Windows had to do something like that. So you see now we have test1.py. Now what do you do? Back first, let's check if Python is installed. Yeah, okay, Python is installed. You see, Python is installed. So let's exit. All right. So now to execute a Python script, you type Python followed by the script name. Our script name is text. Remember, we are in the folder where the script is. Okay, so test1.py. Hello world. You see, enter number 3, enter power 20. So 3 raised to the power 20 is that. That's how you execute um, a Python program from the command line. I'm going to show you. Let's close PowerShell and use this one. So we are in here. We want to execute a Python file. You just type Python followed by the file name. Hello world. Enter 4, 10. Okay, that was it. That's how you execute a Python script from the command line. It's very, very easy. Let's say we are behind one directory behind. Now I've gone one directory behind. So you see here we have Python projects. What am I going to do? Now, in case you want to do this, you need to like use Python, Python, then like you have to specify the folder before the Python script. Maybe I don't know if it's gonna work, but Python project. I don't know whether this is going to work. Test1.py. Can't open the file. Python project test1.py. Python project. There's something I was supposed to do. Let me see. Alright, because of the space, it's quite difficult. Like the space, I don't know. I don't quite remember how to change to use the space between the Python and project is actually disturbing the command. Anyway, so that's it. Normally, in that case, what you need to do is just go to the I'm going to find out how to solve that problem. In that case, what you need to do is just to go to the get into the folder first and then execute the Python script from there. Python, get into the folder first like this. What? Why not found is the name Python project. Okay, sorry, cd. All right, so what? Okay, we are already in. Oh, sorry, we are already in Python project. Oh, we're already in Python project as you can see from here. So in this case, we just type the d command. We are going to see the file. I type Python followed by the file name, and that's it. Um, so that's the end of these tutorials. I think I've shown you guys how to use the command line to execute programs, and also how to use the default Python interpret the default Python text editor here. I've shown you guys how to execute a Python program from the command line, and also how to execute it from ideally Python. So basically, that's the basic installation of Python. So right now on our computer, we have Python installed, and we are ready to become programmers and do great things. So thanks very much for the video.